Okay, so I'm at my grandfather's farm right now, which is really awesome. And I'm going to teach you 7 ways to make a sponge ball disappear. These are all different variations of the same, there's only one way to make a sponge ball disappear, but these are 7 different ways that are going to make it look completely different to your spectator that you can add into your routines. So I hope you like them. Alright, so to do the finger palm vanish, what you're going to do is hold the sponge just like so, mainly between your middle and index finger and thumb. But go ahead and put the rest of your fingers out as well. Your hand is open, and as you go in the motion of placing it in your hand and the fingers are closing over, what you're going to do is move these 3 fingers towards your palm, and as you move them simultaneously as this hand closes over, they're going to bring the sponge ball with them into your hand. So when you do it quickly, it might look something like that. If you can keep it the more on the edge, almost in front of your fingers you can, the better, the more convincing it looks. So in slow motion, and then you can use this finger to maybe push it in a little more if you want. I don't usually do that, but you can then just retract the finger, put it with your thumb as you're in a finger palm. Show that, put this hand just loosely at your side or towards yourself. Try to just keep it natural. And then this hand shows that the sponge ball is gone. Then you can make an index finger, which gives you 360, it can't be seen, and you can point to maybe in your pocket and go into your pocket and bring it out. Whatever reveal you want to do. So that is a finger palm vanish, simply guiding that sponge ball in. Now if you want to go into a clip right there, just a thumb clip palm, you can do that from here as well. You just have to slide that sponge along in there, and if you're going to do that, because it can be seen from this, you're going to have to point your palm, make sure it's pointed toward the spectator. Okay, you can even go into a basic palm, but usually just right into a finger palm. This is my go-to vanish. I just do this one a lot. One thing I try to do is the start position is to try to keep the 4 front fingers a little more open, and you have the index and middle and thumb holding it again. This is really similar to the finger palm vanish, except you end in a basic palm usually. So now the thing is, when I see this doing myself, I'm surprised at how well it works and how convincing it is sometimes. But you just got to make it look smooth. So your hand is going down into your other palm, which is closing over. This doesn't have to be super fast. It just needs to be smooth, okay? Smooth is better than fast. You can do it like this, and that's fast, but that's not as good usually as just making it look convincing. So, the move of the hand goes in, and your index and middle are bringing it down, and especially your middle finger is going to press it against your palm, and you're going to squeeze into a basic palm. So, just like that. Now the thing is, you want to make this sponge ball's path go. Now here's the thing. Look between my 2 fingers back and forth. If you do that, if quickly back and forth between my 2 fingers, you really aren't looking at much of the space in between. If you watch my finger go, the way your eye works is there's 2 different kinds of movement. One for looking at 2 different objects back and forth, and you're just like that. And sometimes you have linear movement where you're following the finger. That's why when you have an eye exam, your doctor's going to do, watch the finger or whatever. Okay? So, when you do this, what you're going to try to do is to keep your spectator's focus at the right point. You're going to make a smooth arc into the hand with the ball. Okay? so that their eye is apparently following it the whole time. Now, with your left hand, don't try to be moving it like away from the ball, like that. Just try to keep it pretty much stationary. I've tried bringing it towards the sponge ball. I don't know if I like that as much either. The best situation probably is to keep your hand mostly stationary. The sponge ball goes inside of it. So when you're doing this in real performance, I'm going to make the sponge ball disappear, which is what you say every time. Anyway, so sponge ball goes apparently into the hand. You press it down with your middle finger, and it just like that. And of course, for the angles, you're going to want to have your hand cupping so that they can't see what's going on. But this really doesn't look too bad from up top usually, if you do it well. Just work on getting that motion down and the smoothness. So that's the my basic go-to Vanish. This is kind of an interesting psychological Vanish. Because of the nature of the way this works, it's really, really easy, but it's just sort of working with people's minds a little more. So what we're trying to do here is, by passing the sponge ball back and forth in the hands, we're creating a pattern for them to follow. So we know he is tossing the sponge ball back and forth. Now when you have that pattern that goes on and on, when the sponge ball isn't actually tossed, it's too late because they've already assumed the truth is going to happen, that the sponge ball will be tossed. Now if I just took the sponge and went like that, it could work, but there's something about this. And the thing is, we don't need to overkill passing it back and forth, for like a long time. If you need to move your hands around because you're nervous and you're shaking a little bit, which happens, then this might be a good thing for you to do. And then you can, because sometimes it's good to keep your hands moving. So this one's nice, but the way you need to do it is, if our spectator is across from us, we're going to start out with the hands going towards them, and then you're going to turn your body. You can just turn your whole body until finally your hands are away from them. Now this way, your palm is just all good to go. Now you could just sort of go a little more over the top or something, but I usually just turn away from them. So we're going back and forth, and the way the actual Vanish works is we're just pressing down, getting a palm, pressing down with our middle and ring, getting a palm and pretending to throw. And our hand is closed. And what's interesting is sometimes people who know how this works, if it's done with a coin, they'll see a glint of light when the ball is thrown. Or they might see a touch of red, just because of the nature of that expectation fulfillment sort of psychological pattern that's going on. Really, really cool, and a pretty good Vanish to work on. And then what's nice is you also finish right with your palm. Alright, this is the most basic way to make a ball disappear. It's the first one I learned, the French drop. I learned it with coins. The reason I think you should know this is because most of my Vanishes, and I'm going to assume most of your Vanishes, are going to start in the same hand. I'm just righty. All of mine are pretty much starting in the right hand. So the reason that this one is a good one to learn is it's super, super simple to do without learning many of the mechanics, because I'd probably look terrible if I started trying to make things disappear into my offhand. It would take some practice, whereas this one is a strong Vanish, super, super simple to do, very little mechanics. So, start in your offhand. Just go ahead and have this one as your offhand Vanish. You might as well. Start in your offhand. You're going to bring your right hand over, and all you're going to do is, as this hand closes over, you're going to drop the sponge into the hand. Now you can either get it into a basic palm, might be easiest just to go right into a finger palm, and because it's a sponge ball, you're going to kill your wrist as this hand goes away. If this was a coin, it could be flat enough against there that you wouldn't really need to do much. You can just sort of leave your hand like so. But because of the nature of the sponge ball, I mean, this is a pretty angle sensitive position. You're going to want to turn your hand over. So it comes just like that. And that one probably, you can even make this look good from this position. Now usually when you're doing a coin vanish, the thing that's going to sell it is equal space from when you take the ball as to when the ball leaves. As in, you don't want it to be like that, you don't want it to be like that. So because though you're doing this kill and really just closing in on it as you do it, that's not as big of an issue. But if you want to consider that, you can. But usually it's once this hand goes and then your index finger can gesture or whatever, this hand can fall loosely at your side. So that's just a good vanish to know if you need to use your left hand for a vanish. This is a really nice vanish. It's nice because it adds up a little bit of variety. I tend to use it in my multiplying sponge balls routine. So it's just nice instead of always this, something like that. You know, this one, those can be nice, and you need to have those variations. But this one is kind of a nice change. So to do it, if you haven't figured it out, you're rolling it along your palm on your fingers. And just like you do a finger vanish, all you're going to do is close up those fingers. And then you're going to gesture towards your hand. The main action that's going to sell it is going to be the off hand, actually. Because this hand, as these fingers close, is going to come over like so. So it's rolling. Just watch. So it comes over, grabs, and that looks a lot better than this because you can see this, it's going away from, these fingers are pulling away from the palm, whereas this, these fingers almost feel like they're getting out of the way so that the hand can come over and take the ball. So that's just a nice little variation you can do, and then you're right into finger palm, right into basic palm, whichever you want. This is my favorite vanish. This is one that I limit to using about once a routine. I try not to overuse this one, but to do it, it is difficult to teach because of the nature of the angles. So I'm just going to show you how the right hand works. You're holding the sponge, hopefully as much on your fingertips as possible, and then you place it into the other hand like this. So it's into the hand, and going through your index finger and thumb, touching. So as these hands close over, your middle finger is going to move up, grab the sponge, and sort of guiding it along these two fingers, bring it into the hand, leaving the index finger out, like so. Now, this is one that I find is really hard to, it's harder to do with one hand. There's something about the way that you also can press against your hand there that makes it a little easier. Because when I actually do it, it usually seems pretty easy and confident to do. So, it's inside the hand, the middle finger brings it inside, just like that, into the palm. And as it does it, it's simultaneously, and you can literally close your hand completely around the sponge ball, like that and steal it out with just the middle finger. Because of the nature of this hand being against the other so much, there are no angle problems. You can't see it from the front, which is really, really awesome. But this is the one I just call it the convincer vanish, because it's just, people could be skeptical about you putting it in your hand and whatever, and this one is just so good. It just looks really awesome. So just work on that middle finger, bringing it into the hand, almost sort of like a snap change with a card, but not quite. What's also nice is you can do this one with bigger sponges really easily, so it's inside the hand. And as you can see, if this is all behind the hands, even if it's not technically palm there, because it's behind the hands at that point, it's really easy to get it in. And a lot of times you'll just re-grab like so, and then you can move into a basic palm or whatever you want. It's almost invisible from the back too if you could do it right, but I'm trying to show you how the move works. Just bringing that in with the middle finger and collecting it inside. Really, really awesome. Strong vanish. Honestly, this is sort of a weird vanish. I'm not sure quite why it works, but I think it's just sort of interesting. Your start position is like this. Index, ring, in the middle on the back. Alright, try to keep these two a little bit on the top so they can press down somewhat. And your middle finger's just on the back. So, place the sponge in the hand. And the goal of this one is that the sponge is staying in the hand the whole time. So, to make it seem like there's not really anything happening. You're going to place them right here. Here it is in slow motion. You're going to move your middle finger up and the other fingers and then press it down. So your middle's just sort of going around the... Sorry guys, my bad. Anyway. So your middle's just sort of going around the sponge and pinning it again into a basic palm. The thing about this is it seems to happen really quickly, because it does. So when the sponge ball is really only in sight from there, and the nice thing about this is because you have the three fingers, this area more or less is going to keep, that is from there down, kind of because of the nature of it being the three fingers, keeps that sponge ball covered behind them. So it's really only exposed, and then from there on out it's covered. And by that time it's gone. So that's why you can sort of almost have your hand as far away as possible from the receiving hand. So then you just need to work on the timing of closing it, and then usually I'll move this hand up my arm as it goes, and then maybe a wave. And we're just getting into basic palm. So from the bottom it looks like this. And that is a really interesting vanish, but kind of a cool one. I think it's really cool because the illusion is, instead of me placing the ball into the hand, is that instead I'm just going to leave the ball there the whole time. Now because this one sort of has a lot of finger movement, you're going to want to do some movement with your hand when you do this. So that's why you move it up. But that's the trick. Alright, so that's my video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really do think it is important to have a lot of variation in the way that you do the same effect, because even though it's the same concept to a magician, to a spectator, the difference between rolling the ball around your palm, putting it into your palm, having it in the palm, and then subtly removing it, those may all register to them as different tricks.
Whereas if they will start to recognize a pattern, if you're doing the same exact motion over and over, those differences are really going to play strongly in your spectator's mind as to what you're doing, and will add another layer of perception. They're going to add variety, they're going to add interest to your performance, and just make you an all-around better magician and performer. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy practicing and performing these.